Have you ever had a conversation with a Tibetan Lama? A really deep and an honest conversation. This is exactly what we are going to do today. Our guest is Karma Rinpoche Dorje Rinpoche, a reincarnated Tibetan Master from Bhutan. Karma Rinpoche began his path of spiritual enlightenment at the age of 3. Being a toddler, he recalled his past life as Tibetan Teacher, and his parents brought him to the monastery in northeast India to meet his master, His Holiness Terton Kunzang Dechen Lingpa Rinpoche. Lama Terton immediately recognized Karma Rinpoche as a reincarnation and adopted him as his hot son, taught him for many years the essence of Tibetan teachings, and eventually transmitted the teachings of his lineage. Karma Rinpoche is not your regular Lama. He is rather direct, very modern, and some could say controversial. While being a very solid and dedicated practitioner of Dharma, he is also an established and well-known filmmaker who won many prizes in Bhutan Film Festival for his movies Tshorwa, The Raw, and The Wind of Karma, and already considered to be one of the best film directors in the Bhutanese film history. Karma Rinpoche is joining us today to enlighten us about spirituality, to demystify what people call Tantra, and to explain what it means to practice non-duality in our modern life. Welcome to the Timeless Teachings podcast. My name is Yana, and I'm your guide into the world of spirituality, mysticism, and consciousness. Each episode, we will dive into deep and often rather controversial subjects. The guests are encouraged to speak their minds and hearts freely and share their most authentic life experiences, teachings, and realizations. If you haven't done it yet, do press the subscribe button, share this episode with friends, and support us on Patreon. Let's rise together and create a world that celebrates wisdom, compassion, equality, vulnerability, and truth. I met Karma Rinpoche first time 2 years ago, when he came to Singapore and literally knocked on my door with a suitcase. Our mutual friend invited him to do chod healing practice for the public, and I was immediately struck by the power and intensity of his energy and deep inner wisdom as a yogi. Karma Rinpoche spent a total of 12 years living and practicing in the forest in India, with 9 years out of those 12 being in a solitary retreat. He is not a timid monk though, but rather a rebellious and a free-spirited yogi who has a very strong mind for the practice and a very big heart for the world. Rinpoche, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for this first interview for the non-dual conversations. It's a pleasure to have you here. And I have been knowing you now for many years, and I have been studying with you. So I know that you also share a lot about spirituality and how it connects to the modern world and to the people in the society. So can you just tell us a little bit, what do you think actually spirituality is for the modern person? So someone who stays in the society, who might have a family, a job, children. So how can they be spiritual?
First of all, thank you for inviting me on the, I think, live video call interview. And I think there's an era of like very materialistic era. So spiritual is now is kind of we're in the society where it's like end of the era. So spiritual, it's very rare to find the real spiritual, but still we are living in. So there's a way to get in there, and we need to really there's many things to compromise, many things to understand, many things to learn to how to be a modern spiritual. So there's a lot of things to understand before that. But in terms of if you're talking about the real, the spiritual, then it's beyond. It's something else.
So what is real spirituality? Then what is it, real spirituality?
The beyond spiritual is something beyond understanding, and sometimes you can't explain it, but sometimes you just understand. And sometimes you understand, but you don't have any explanation about it. And you can feel it, you can't see. And sometimes you see, but it doesn't make sense sometimes. These are the things. It's a lot of confusion. Spiritualism, at the one point, is a very good. In the one moment, you can get enlightened, you can get liberated, you can get educated. But in another way, you can confuse for a lifetime.
I see.
So it's kind of sharp knife. Either you will harm yourself, or either you can design beautiful.
Why is it a sharp knife? Why? Because I also heard this. You know that I have been traveling to Bhutan since 2016, and I was looking for teachings and trying to understand the culture. And I heard it from also other people when they say, I think particularly in the Tibetan tradition, that they say that the spiritual journey is like a sharp knife. That it could be really almost like dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, that you can cut yourself or you can cut other people, right? So what does it actually mean?
That is true, whoever said this, but I personally believe, I understand. You can see, I don't think so you need an explanation about it, because 90% of the spiritual journey people right now, but I'm not talking about the ancient, that is something pure. Now, I'm not criticizing all, but I think 80 to 90%, there's a 10% who also, there's a real practitioner. But most of them, I think they're just sake of business, or just sake of, if I say like a sex, I didn't find any like the present, the one who is claimed to be a spiritual. I can see them as a very big business. And that's why it's a very dangerous, because when you say something spiritual, you have to you can't see through the layers, because spiritual itself is the one big layer. So it covers many things. You have to smile, you have to be compassion, you have to be kindness. Then when like there's a layer you can't see through, so it's a big doubt. And yeah, that's what I want to say.
Well, first of all, thank you for being honest. We appreciate it here. That's why we're doing these conversations. And yes, when you mentioned that you felt that not most of people do it as a business, right? And also like there's this a lot, especially again, when it comes maybe to Tibetan school, there's all those conversations about Tantra, which then brings, right, what you just said, like to sexuality, and which is completely over commercialized and often also misunderstood by people. And there's just so many offerings in this area. There are Tantra festivals, Tantra workshops, Tantra schools, Tantra this, Tantra that in the society itself. And it seems that people are really fascinated with the word and with the idea of it. So, but then also if I talk to lamas and rinpoches and monks, then I know that most of them would say that whatever we people in the society understand under Tantra, it is not what it is. It's all just clever marketing, but it's not the true thing. So would you be able to explain how do you understand what Tantra actually is?
To be honestly, I must say that if you find Tantra in like, what you call it, if you find Tantra in a workshop, I must say that's bullshit. Because the way we learn, the way my master learned from, master learned, and my grandmaster learned Tantra is they have been practicing in isolated. They locked themselves in a highly mountain, like in the cave, practicing and that. And they are practicing in a very strict cave or meditation center. I don't think so. We never learn in the Tantra workshop or something.
Tantra festival.
Tantra festival. Yeah.
Okay.
So, can you give me 1 minute? I have to turn off there's a music coming up.
Sure.
Okay. Sorry for. Okay.
All good. That was the music. It's life. It happens. It comes and goes.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Tantra, and that you feel that whatever is offered in the society under Tantra, this is not what you feel the authentic Tantra is.
It is authentic, and it will remain very precious, and you can practice within yourself, and you can transfer into, if you are a Tantra practitioner, if you wanted to give someone else, you need to know someone very good and trust. It should be more than like a connection bond should be there. And there's certain discipline, certain rules, teacher and the students. Otherwise, I don't think so. That's what it should be, remain pure, and neither you are promoting in somewhere like it's like a product. It's become product. You are like making flyers and like Tantra practices there and this and that. What you call advertisement itself is it's what you call advertisement itself is a proof that it's not pure.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is that the true tantric master and true tantric practitioners, they will not they will not advertise it. They will not talk about it. They will not mention, and it is something which is very sacred.
Yeah, it's like if you really want to practice Tantra, then you just go and find. You have to search. You have to go and find out where it is, and you have to find the masters, and you have to go. And even then, it takes a lifetime to find out the things. And now is like it's in your doorstep. It's like a home delivery system. I'm a little bit disappointed on this. I have few experience. I does something similar things also, and when I was traveling somewhere else, like a few countries, and I landed up doing such things also. But I never lose my essence. I always try to give them before the tantra, like tantric like practice, mahayana absorption practice. I put them into the foundation practice.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're they're true, then they can practice. Now I have few people that they are practicing, not like commercialized or something. They have to go through the many practice before you comes to the Dzogchen Tantric practice.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned a very important part. You said that before you would teach like any Mahayana, Dzogchen, Tantric practices, you still put them in a foundational practice, right? Yeah. So, and what I have been seeing also in the world with people who are into spirituality, they often skip, like in the society, right? They often just skip foundational practices because they feel it's not important enough. It's not interesting enough. It may be too boring. They don't see the value in it. There is this common joke. I know that among lamas that are often loved, that especially when Western students would show up and ask, they all come and ask for the Dzogchen. They don't want anything else. So they don't often want to do foundational practices. So what is your view on this, and why foundational practice is so important?
Whoever says like foundation is not important, then I think they're not educated people. If they are educated, they should know foundation is very important. Any kind of practice, any constructions, any buildings, what is the important? The most important is how you build the foundation. The more you have the strong foundations, you can build any kind of design. It will be more stable. So this is the simple knowledge, simple understanding things. But most of the educated people, they say foundation is not important. Then you are not an educated people.
Okay, so for those who are in the society, and there are many people in the society who are looking for the answers to all kind of questions about spirituality. So what is then the foundation? So what is the foundation of the spiritual practice? And what can someone who has like an everyday life here can do maybe to create this foundation? Like, is there something specific that they can do, or they have to go through the whole practice the way how it is done traditionally? Or is there something simpler they can do every day?
It depends what you are practicing. Every practice has a different foundation, to be honestly. And then it depends what you want to learn. And you have to make a choice, which is like you have to confirm that I want to practice this particularly. And then you will have a particular foundation to be set, foundation to be practiced. So then only we can advise as per what you want to practice. So if let's say if the Bodhisattva practice, like Buddhism practice, foundation is more important. Like we live in Bodhisattva practice is more in reality. So that's what foundation is more required, because when you're living in the body, so body should be trained in a discipline, and then you have to train your mind to develop the compassion. Okay, like when we're doing the physical discipline is we start with the 100,000 prostrations in practice. That's very important, because your body is so much. We need to activate your body because we are so lazy to practice. So 100,000 prostration makes you very physically activated, and there's so much physical karma, negative emotions are there. You need to be cleaner, because your body is a container. So before you put something precious inside your container, so the most important is doesn't matter the container is the diamond container or a gold container or just a aluminum container. It doesn't matter. But most important is the container, how much you clean. So before you put some essence, some medicines into the container, the important is to wash that, clean that. Then your whatever you have, a small amount of essence, a practice, whatever. So then, if your container is clean, then it will remain pure. So the reason why we're doing 100,000 prostrations or more than that minimum, it's very important to clean the container. And then you have to develop the compassion, which is called Semke. That is another very important. Like everyone knows about the compassion. You know about the compassion. I know about compassion. But when children also, like there's a kid, they can also know the compassion. What is the compassion? But to understand the compassion is not compassion. To develop from the inside, like compassion, you have to really feel the pain, really feel the suffering. You have really. Then when you feel the pain, feel the suffering, feel the compassion, then it's automatically you will develop. And that's known what we call artificial compassion.
Yeah, it's not intellectual. It's the real one. You feel it.
Yeah. So intellectual, like this is the right word, intellectual compassion and actual compassion is it is two different things. So we live in being a religious person. So that's why I never talk much about the compassion and kindness and advanced practice, because which is I'm not. I'm still in practicing. So I don't want to adopt the intellectual compassion, and these are the another. You are into the non-dual practice, but you're adopting so much dualism. To act like a compassion, also a dualism. So,
so let's talk about. Yes.
Then you be in that practice. How go through the sixth realm of the. There's a better side and darker side. Go through the all. How they survive. How they what is the Devaloka's sufferings, the Asura Lok suffering, and the human sufferings and animal sufferings, and the the demon sufferings and the hell suffering. When you go detailed, then you will automatically comes to know. Then you can connect, and when it connects, then I think it will be develop the compassions. Compassion, it doesn't come as a test. It should be. You have to develop. When I was traveling, and then I somebody put me a very dark coffee, and the first sip of my life, it wasn't taste. It's bitter, and I didn't like it at all. And the second time and third, then now it's become my taste. I liked it, and then this is it's my taste now. So I think you have to train to be compassion. How it will be. So practice makes a lot of things. That's why it's called practice. That's why the one who lives in the spiritual, it's called practitioner. They practice.
You mentioned six worlds. I'm just going to say it again because I'm not sure everyone knows it or understands it. So, right, we're talking about gods, demigods, hungry ghosts, demons, animals, and humans, right? So, in the samsara realm. Can you just explain a little bit to people who are going to watch us and listen here that how does it translate into the reality? For us, people who live in the society, do we have all those worlds present? Is it here, or is it more like a concept, like an imaginary concept?
The way the book, the way explained by book, or it's kind of imaginary, it's in the concept. But how if you're talking to me,
yes,
then I must explain on my way how I take it as the sixth realm. I think I don't know it was mentioned in book or not, but I must say that I think sixth realm exists within the within our nearby. I think some people have a very good life, which is it's equivalent to the God's life. Everything is there. Everything beautiful garden, beautiful house, expensive cars, thousands of workers and boss. You're and somebody works for them actually. There's someone who actually do hard work, but the credit goes to that boss. So that's a semi-god who is really hard work for them. And then the reality is you're human actually. Your act, your facility makes a god, and your work has become your a semi-god. And your reality is you're a human. And then, but we are human, but our concept, the way we think, our our activities is like the animal. It's we all working as for selfish. It's like, we're human. We have so much intellectual, so much facilities there compared to the other beings, like animals. But still, we work for the self, isn't it? My world, my parents, my children, my business, my country.
Mhm.
This is how we begin the war, actually. So, similarly, one animal, like example, the puppy, dog, they can also found a food. They can manage to bring a food for their own children. That much sense even the animal has. So we are human. If we do like similar as animal thought, animals concept, then what is the difference between animal than human? There's no difference. So our act is like an animal, and then so we live in more expectations, which is hunger. So it's known as a hungry ghost. We are the hungry ghost. We have so much greed, so much. We have enough, but still we are asking more, which is doesn't require. But you make it hunger. And then when you have a lot of hungers, then you land up in hell. This is how I explain.
Yes.
This is how I explain it in the sixth realm within the ourselves.
Yes, that's the reality of the modern society. Definitely before the COVID. So when everything collapsed.
No point which I have never been there. Like I never been to the Devaloka, I never been to the Asura Loka. Okay, yes, of course I'm a human. I'm living there, but how can I explain it? But which is within ourselves, I'm explaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were saying that to, I think also in scriptures, they say that actually to liberate yourself, it is possible only from the realm of humans. It is not really possible. Is it true? Is it not really possible to do this from gods or asuras or hungry ghosts or demons or animals? I mean, you can't really realize yourself when you are that. So you can only, as a human being, realize yourself when you are actually human.
Yeah, that's why. If you are a human, then you can all those realization. It comes. If you're a realm of the God, a realm of the all this another five world, and I already explained.
Mm-hmm.
So being a boss, you're taking advantage of the workers. So how can they have time to practice? They are already busy with taking advantage of the workers, and the workers is busy with all they always keep arrogant with their boss. So when it's neutral, when you're in the human law, you have only time to realize and educate yourself on all this matter, and then only it's possible to liberate yourself.
Mm-hmm. And I know that you're saying that a big part, or maybe the main part of the practice towards realization is non-dual path. Right? I mean, you often say about that it's about non-duality. It's even as a teacher, it's kind of for any teacher, it's very, tricky because as a teacher, you also have to remain non-dual. You can't give in into this or that. And then also for the practice, it's non-dual practice. So what does it actually mean, the word non-dual itself? How would you explain non-duality to people who might hear it for the first time? What is it?
Sometimes practicing non-dual is also very, it's like a harsh, it's like a very, rough practice, because you can't hide sometimes. You just being in the moment and you live there, you don't, but non-dual practice also requires so many good presentations, I must say. And here I wanted to tell something important.
Please.
The more we say, like one thing we really have, we have the stone, and stone, the painted with the gold, and you bring it out, and you are pretending as if that's actual gold. Number one. Number two, you beautifully crop that stone, and you can bring out as it is the stone, but you beautifully made it. And these two things are a big difference. One is you paint it with the gold and you bring it as a gold. And one is the stone itself you design beautifully. So these two things are a big difference. It looks same, but big differences. One is pretending and the one is presentation. So presentation it's based on reality, what it is, but you beautifully cropped it. And there's a this is non-dual. Isn't it? This is non-dual.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever it is best, you bring out the best and make it beautiful. Because it exists there. Beautiful, it exists. You just find a way to how to make it beautiful in there. So everything, the many people will design, but design will be not same. It will be different design. So this is dualism. This is the dual. Because inside is different and you are covered up with the golden.
Mm.
So this two, it's a similar, sounds similar, but it's a big difference. So I believe that non-dual practice is like that.
Sounds very difficult in a modern society. It means you can't pretend, you can't please people. You don't have to be nice, it's kind of constant all there.
You don't have to be nice, but you have to be true with
true to yourself. True to yourself.
True to yourself, and you can design your own. There's I don't know how many billion people are there, but I live one of those most like I was living in India, and now most less population country where I'm from, it's Bhutan, and I jump into the most populated. So there's many people, like if your idea can appreciate it by even 1% of human, it's more than I don't know, more than 100,000 millions or something like that. I don't know. But some people, they like, people have different choices, like, isn't it? Did you see the paintings? Some people, like, they just throw the ink. People are paying $50,000 for that. And some people, they're like, they learn for 6 years, 5 years, and they paint, and not even people, they don't appreciate also. So in terms of people choice, is a people human as we are a joker. So we are jokers. So you can't trust. They can like anything. So non-dual practice, you don't have to really worry about maybe it will be true or not. I can't do or that. These are the concepts we are conflicting with the concept. So isn't it? Your concept is pure, but there's so many conflicts we created. So then it seems very difficult to be practiced. But in terms of the real practice, being real, I don't think so. It's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Big deal.
So it's about being true to yourself. It's exactly what it is. When we're removing all those concepts, you just say the way things are right now.
If we're talking about the real practice and spiritual, and being spiritual, the first basic, basic essence, basic knowledge, or basic, what do you call, first key is self, is being yourself, truthful. And when you are truthful, then you don't have to go and search extra non-dualism. The moment you're truthful yourself, moment itself is a non-dual.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That sounds very...
You like
real.
it because there's truth.
Because there's truth. Yes, I like that. So what does it mean then for a teacher to be non-dual? Like, it's also like now when we look around, there's just a lot of expectations that, like, especially like for spiritual teachers, that like students would expect the teacher to be in a particular way. Like, he or she has to do this or cannot do that, has to wear particular clothes, has a certain lifestyle, maybe eat certain food, So there's a lot of expectations from everyone around. Must be difficult then to stay non-dual.
People can expect anything. Like people, there's a few people still, I must say, they are like still, from their point of view, I'm kind of a miracle person. This is their expectations. I don't have any miracle. I'm just a human. And this is their belief is making like a teacher as a very powerful and very like aura or something like the chakra, like as if I can like anytime like give you some like shine up the ball like I don't have those things, but I believe in truth, which is like I think I wanted to share something like when I was traveling to Bali. I traveled there and I had some healing session, and then some open talk. There's a few people were gathered, and then we had a very good like seminars and talk. Then later in the evening, I went to a bar. Bali is like full of the like live music bar and of course I was drinking a wine, and then suddenly one of my students shows up there and look at me and then, hey, what you doing here? And I said the same. What you doing here? And then we had a conversation. You're a teacher, you're a master. You shouldn't do that and that. Then I said it was not my intention to say something, but I said what you're looking for. And then she said, okay, I'm looking for like spiritual practice, which is non-dual practice. And exactly. So if you believe me as a non-dual teacher, then you shouldn't be surprised. First things, when you're learning something from someone else, and if you are learning non-dual, then the teacher must be non-dual first. And wherever I am, where I went to have a wine and I was there, it was just my normal, I feel like to go there and I just went there and I was drinking. That was my non-dual practice. What I feel like to do, I did it. Mm-hmm. But I'm not putting into the practice, but it was nature. And I like the place and I didn't feel hesitate. Okay, I should go because I feel like to go. And I went there and I was happy. So then I said, I think it was, I'm happy that you met here. rather than you found me in the monastery. Otherwise, you have more expectations. And I'm happy that I met you here, because now you don't have any expectations.
What was the response of that person?
Yeah, but she was like, "Oh, nice." And, yeah, this is how I save my
freedom. Yes, your freedom. Yes. Speaking about the monastery, you spent at least 9 years in the retreat, right? Even not the monastery. We're talking actually about forest and like in a solitary retreat. So you came out in 2006, I believe, right, from the retreat, and then you traveled after this. Like you traveled in in Southeast Asia, in Asia, a little into Europe, through teaching and students. So for someone who grew up in the monastery, and I know that you have been in the monastery since the age of 3, so you fully grew up in the monastery, and I believe then the master asked you to go to the forest when you were like 12 or 13, right? Something, maybe even earlier. And then so you spent all those years by yourself practicing and studying, and then so you come out when you're 20 something into the society. How was your experience of the world for someone who grew up completely outside of the society?
Okay, maybe I want to tell a little bit longer story.
Okay.
My spiritual journey was begin like when I was 3, and I went to the monastery, and my master adopted me, and all the education, monastic rules, monastic facilities was there. But I was really kind of like very, challenging person, because I was like a very tough student. My monastery were like nearby the small town, actually, small town. Like I was very difficult guy. Like I just run away at night and just go to the mini cinema halls, and like and I got punished next day, and like then it's a very, my master has a very tough time to groom. And then one day he decided, if you be like this, and you're never going to be a great practitioner. So I choose a best place for you. And he took me to the jungle where it's like 8 Mahayogi was like practicing. We call Thampa. That was like 3 years meditation or practicing. He put me there, and I was just like, they were all look like a terrorist, actually, beard and like. Then the master dropped me there, and then he left, and I tried to run away from there, but it was just like a big jungle, middle of the jungle. You can't find the way. Then I stayed there, and for I think 2 years, next 2 years. Then finally I managed to run away from there. One evening I just decided, okay, I'm gonna run. And it took like 6 hours to be to the main road. Like it was just, and then I straightly went to the monastery. Actually, there was no place to go. Then there's a concert of my master. Like she was my kind of my mother, actually. She grooms everything. And she said, yeah, Karma came in. She was really, at that time, master was not there. Master went somewhere else. And he was coming back within 3 days. And she was really worried. The master was really, wrathful, little bit wrathful. So he's very in the truthful moment, like, if it's right, right. It's wrong, it's wrong. And she was like, okay, she was trying to like escape from that moment, and yeah, then again, it happened, which is like after a few months, then he put me again into the actual. That the before 2 years was not in the meditation, but I kept there for a practice to learn the basic knowledges. And then after a few months later, then he put me into the practice where the jungle nearby the monastery. And then it was actually 3 years meditation practice. And I was young, like 12, 13 years old. And I had no idea what I'm doing actually. Then I didn't give a, I didn't give a shit to my own practice. I was just hanging in the jungle because it was the best moment for me. Because I was living in the monastery. There's a morning you have to work, wake up in the morning, like 2 o'clock, practice, and like breakfast on time, like practice, tea on time, practice. So very much rule is strict, and there's no freedom at all. Like these are the basic practices for the being a monk. But when I suddenly being in the jungle, there was no boss around me. Like I was the boss, I was the king, and Many people ask, "How did you survive?" I said that was the most freedom in my life. So then I was enjoying. I was sleeping most of the time, no practice. I do few practices, and I was climbing tree and just collect the wood, and I was designing, like carving, like the
Crafting.
like kind of many things like stone designings, and so I was just spending time there, and like 3 years I finished, and the master came and said, "Repeat, do it again." Even I was still then I was not serious about it, like, and the same result happened after 6 years also. Like, you need more to do. Then I was really a little bit. I was like, okay, does he really know that I'm doing nothing? Then I kind of little bit took it as a challenge. Okay, now I want to do seriously, and I start doing the series. And then one day I got a call. The time was I saw first time in my life the mobile phone. It was in 2006. Some monks came to my meditation center. They come with a phone. Like they said, like master wants to talk to you. And I said, I thought master is coming on the way. Like I was looking. No, they said like in over the phone. But in my life, I saw the landline phone, but never saw the mobile. It was Nokia mobile, something like that. There's a black and white phone. So I thought he was joking, like, and then actually it's a loudspeaker. It was actually sounds coming up. So I was really surprised. So I was like, without the wire, how it's possible? Then I talked to him and said he was in the nun monastery in Assam. I was in in the mountain. Then master says, I think you're done now. So you have to come out day after tomorrow. He gave me then immediately I have to. Then he sent another Rinpoche, like another master, to release my meditation. Then I came out, and after 7 days later, master came to the monastery. Then I met him there, and I offered offering the mandala, Kusumandu. So it's a sign of thank you for appreciate this kind of farewell offering. And then after a few days later, he passed away. Mm. So this is how I practiced there, and then it was 2006. Then later 2006, end of the 2006, then I come back. I returned to my town, home village, like home. It was completely different culture for me, though I'm a Bhutanese. when I'm coming back after 20 years, it was like I felt like I'm in a different world, like something. People were talking different language, different culture. And then slowly um, then I went back to monastery, and there's a few administration work they divided, and they want me to take over the few administration work. I tried. Then it was not my job, and I just okay. Um, then I didn't say anything. I just walked away. Then I started traveling, and then I went to Sikkim, and then I meet people. I start teaching there, and make a good connections, and then slowly Bhutan, Nepal, um, and Malaysia, Singapore, Bali, all this. I start traveling. Then I realized that moment was very precious.
In the retreat.
Yeah, that now is like all over. I'm meeting not humans, like I'm meeting like demons.
Speaking about the 6 worlds, yes.
and I also become a demon. In a jokes apart, but there's in a demon form of demon. There's a lot of God exists also. But it's very difficult to find. It's like a day star. Star exists in the day also, but you can't see. So I mean to say, like in terms of practice. But as a just normal human, and then okay, everyone's good.
So how is your experience now that you're living in the society, right? As a monk or as a yogi, I mean, it's you're living in the society where you grew up like with completely different rules than most people here. So it must be challenging. Like in the old days, I think it was a bit easier. There were like a bit clearer difference. There are monks and there are yogis, and then there are people, and then people, I don't know, would bring food or clothes or something. So these days it doesn't work like this really anymore. It's slightly different. Like everyone thinks spirituality is like a business, right, in a way. And so how do you feel about it? And how is your life right now with this?
I described myself as I'm not a good monk.
You're honest.
Yeah. Because I never stick into the monk's rule, and for the monk's point of view, I'm a kind of just a rule breaker. Like I'm kind of the one who,
the mad monk.
Terrorist of the monastery.
Terrorist of the monastery.
Ex-natural, like. But still, they love me, and they still. I have my position is there, and I travel sometimes. But it's I just came out from the boundary, which is like. But the one who maintained there, the one who sustained there, the one who practicing that boundaries, I really appreciate, and I have a highly respect for them. Being in that societies and the boundary, living in that boundary, and practicing every day is a almost impossible practice. I couldn't, because I jump out from the boundary and I break the rules, and I'm a lazy person, like, and because of the lazy, I think I found it the shortcut way and easiest way, like. So I think because I've done all the basics practice, and when I was in meditations, and so as of now. I'm practicing when I feel like to practice. So it doesn't mean that yogi, like a cave yogi, or kind of. I'm kind of a modern filmmaker, freelance traveler yogi. Because my life was the materialistic life was begins after 2006. So I'm very much new into this world. I'm still in teenage, like 6, 7, 8. Like I think I'm still 15 years old. So yeah. So I'm. It's a very much what you call. It's a entertaining world.
To be in the society is very entertaining.
Yeah. Let me stress on that.
Yes. So what would be your, I see that we are coming, I think, to 1 hour already with our conversation today. So I just want to ask you just a few final questions before we wrap it up. So what would be your advice for people who live in the society? Is there anything, because you have seen both, you have seen the monastic world and you have seen the world where most people live in, right? Mm-hmm. And you have seen that for what people have in the society, the issues that they have, the struggles that they have, how often they struggle with emotions, with the mind, there's a big fight, right, internally. But what do you feel they could do to just become more peaceful?
First things, I must say, don't try to become spiritual. That's the most confusing. You must have to be compassion, but you must have to be spiritual, but spiritual by truly by yourself. The moment you stop doing back to others, the more truthful yourself. If you stop harming others, and that is the biggest spiritual journey. I must say, otherwise, this spiritual journey will make you more confused. It will make you more depressed. It makes you more. Why it happened? Because you don't understand. You don't learn properly. You don't learn from the masters. You learn from the book, which is written by someone who wants to make money, who wants to get popular. And that book you read, and then you build the shitty thoughts in your mind. And book knowledge in the like informations. Yeah, okay. Of course, you will become an intellectual. You can be a highly learned, but I don't think so. You will become enlightened from the book or YouTube channel or Google's. So you can't be a good practitioner. You can be a good knowledgeable person, intellectual, but here being spiritual is not to be intellectual. So what you be there, what you are, but be truthful. Why we are fail in business? Because you give something false hope. You give presentations. You give I don't think so. It's a presentation. It's a pretending. You pretend as a very good, successful business. You give a talk, but the reality you're not, and something like it. And the moment it's come to reveal the truth about you, and you hide it, your step is like stopped. Your journey is stopped because you couldn't move ahead because people comes to know that what is reality. Then the moment you stop, then its fail begins. Might be slow. It will be slow start, being truthful, but it will never stop because your reality is already revealed at the beginning itself. So it might be slower to success, but it will be never stopped. So my opinion or advice: be there where you are, and I think now world is intellectual enough that to understand what is best and what is worse, and what is good and what is bad. Everyone knows, isn't it? Everyone knows, but still still your greediness, your greedy, what you call greedy, or our desire, our expectations. Even though spiritual practice also become worse when we develop the expectations. So no point being in the spiritual with a full of hope and expectation, then you are no more a spiritual person. But being in the somewhere, wherever you are, whatever you do with the truthfully, no harm, and then you are already within yourself. It's a one spiritual journey is there. So then if you really want to get enlightened being, then it's required a lot of practice. And you have to open up you have to find out the key of because being a human, everyone has a lot of questions. So why me? Everyone thinks that why me? Isn't it? Even I think, why me? But in the general view, and overall, everyone's suffering the same. Everyone has a question. And in terms of you have a different questions. Individual questions are different. And the blockage of the enlightenment being is the questions. You cannot find the answers. So if you really want to enlighten being practice, then you have to open up all questions. Like you have to find out the key to answer the every things in life which you have the question. Why I'm suffering? Find out the key. Find out the so that doesn't come from the book and from the YouTubes. No, you have to go. You have to be isolated by yourself, be in the moment, and it's all here. All the answers you can find it within yourself. So, but need a time, require time to find out the answer, and that's what Mahayogis and all the enlightened beings, they journey towards where hardly human or like no disturbance. They go there and they just live in there and they just practice and to find out every answer. So then, if you find it, then you are out of the circle. This is my and don't start these things until and unless you get a master's. Don't don't play with the shark.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rinpoche. That was very, very deep, very real, very. So thank you for your time today.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much. Your what it called your interview. So I've never been to the kind of live interview or something like that. So I don't know how to present or how to being in the interview. But okay, whatever it is, that's I did my best to fool the universe. I try my best to fool you all.
Wow, that was a deep discussion about the nature of reality, life of a yogi in a modern world, and behind-the-scene insights into the everyday spiritual practice. As Rinpoche said, all answers are within ourselves. All what we have to do is to find all the keys. So true and so relevant. Did you enjoy listening to this podcast? Press the subscribe button, share it with friends, and consider to support us on Patreon. Until next time, stay wild and be humble. До встречи!